Games 1 and 2 taken out by the road team, but the Kings, with some health concerns, need to bounce back and take a commanding 2-1 lead. Let's have a look at a same-game multi in this one, because Cooks and Walton, we'll put them to the side because we're not sure what's going to happen with those boys. Jarrell Brantley's been outstanding. He'll go north of 17.5 points. Justin Simon has stood up big time in the absence of the Kings' 2 stars. And points over. Tell you what, this is a game where both teams will be up and about. Enjoy the game and gamble responsibly.
You know the score. Stay in control. Gamble responsibly.
We're 2 games into the NBL23 Championship Series, and we have got ourselves a contest. Sydney and New Zealand all tied up at 1 apiece. For the Kings, injury drama has surrounded them all week long. The big question now, how fit are their stars Xavier Cooks and Derek Walton Jr.? And for the New Zealand Breakers, outstanding on the road last Friday, outstanding on the road all season long. Can they get it done in someone else's gym once again tonight? And we will be a part of history with more than 18,000 expected inside Kudos Bank Arena. It's set to be the largest crowd in NBL history. Game 3 in the Championship Series is coming your way.
4 decades of NBL champions.
6 seconds. Pass. Bishop! Wow, what a finish.
And the Tigers, for the first time in history, have won the NBL title.
After 23 years, the Sydney Kings with an unprecedented 3-peat. Bickway for the win. Pandemonium. The Breakers have won their 4th title in 5 years. He's hit 7 threes. He has 45 points.
And United, they stand.
The 17-year drought is over. All hail the Kings.
In Game 1, the Kings fell at home to the Breakers.
The 2 best teams all season long.
Big defensive play from Brantley.
McDowell White continuing to do whatever he likes. It's a 1-possession game. Brown Jr. from the elbow, big time.
Walton Jr. is in all kinds of pain. There's the MVP, writhing in agony.
The Breakers have been enormous, and they head home 1-0 up.
Battered, bruised, and backs against the wall, uncertainty surrounded these Kings. But in the midst of crisis lies great opportunity.
DJ Vasilovich with a 3. Good night. See you in Sydney.
With the series tied 1-1, who will take the lead? Who will be one step closer to championship glory? Welcome to Game 3 of the NBL Championship Series.
Welcome everybody to a sold-out Kudos Bank Arena for Game 3 of the Hungry Jacks NBL Championship Series between the Sydney Kings and the New Zealand Breakers. It is currently locked at 1 game apiece. I'm here with Derek Rucker and, of course, Casey Frank. It doesn't get much bigger than this, both off the court and on the court.
There's no doubt about that, Felix, and both these teams are locked in after a big upset victory by the Sydney Kings in New Zealand on Sunday. I didn't expect it. Felix, I know you didn't expect it, but what do we expect tonight?
When we left here a week ago, we didn't know what to expect in New Zealand. It wasn't that, though. A non-performance by the Breakers, a tough performance by the substitutions and the backups for the Sydney Kings. Tonight, it's a different story. We got 2 teams that are extremely motivated and look like they're ready to play on the razor's edge.
Well, I'll tell you what, fellas, they are going to need every single one of these 18,000 people here tonight, because it has been a house of horrors, both for New Zealand at home and the Sydney Kings. All 5 games won by the road team, unheard of when you look at the fans for both these teams.
Road dogs go crazy. The Breakers 11-3 on the road, just 7-7 at home, and they feel comfortable in this gym. They don't mind going in packed houses and being the villain. Well, they better hope there's a replication of that tonight, because it is going to be a lot of pressure on them to perform.
And obviously, we've had some injury concerns on the Sydney Kings. Xavier Cooks, we see there on screen, just agreed to a 2-year deal with the Washington Wizards, as we know. But in this series, he has been hampered by injury. As well, his superstar point guard, Derek Walton Jr., went down late in Game 1 and took very little part in Game 2, Felix.
Well, as you said, it was heart-in-mouth stuff in Game 1 when both Walton Jr. went down and the soon-to-be Washington Wizards Xavier Cooks. Now, anyone in their right mind would think that the Kings were absolutely no chance going into Game 2. Now, Casey Frank, I reckon you might have a bit of bias, but you look at the concern here. the Sydney Kings, if you look at those numbers right there, you'd almost pencil in a loss.
And that is why you play the games, because you cannot underestimate the heart of a champion. This Kings team are champions for a reason. Not just the two on the screen before, but these four here came up huge. Kawhi, fantastic in that first half. And Justin Simon, a performance for the ages in that third quarter where he absolutely dominated both ends of the court.
Well, Justin Simon came out that second half with a point to prove. Obviously, he wants to vindicate himself as the best defensive player of the year, even though, Felix, he was not in the finalists for that award this season. Look, he's had a great series so far, and in my estimation, after 2 games, he's the championship series MVP at the moment.
I think that chip on his shoulder was bigger than a Dorito, Derek Rucker. But I'll tell you what, Barry Brown Jr., you almost flirt with starting him in this game after the start that New Zealand had in Game 2. How much does he need to take the weight off McDowell White's shoulders and come out with a big one tonight?
Well, Will McDowell White has had a fantastic season. We saw what he did in Game 1 where he dominated tempo. He dominated play. He distributed the ball very well, and he is the on-court leader for that team. Look at the disparity between the 2 games, Casey, and the problem in Game 2 was the turnover.
Absolutely lackadaisical with the ball, and that's not the kind of performance you're used to seeing, and that's the kind of back-to-back performance he cannot have if he wants to reach the level that he is capable of, not just here in the NBL, but beyond.
Well, I'll tell you what, fellas, this is the loudest I have ever seen Kudos Bank Arena. Jack Heverin, I think the Sydney Kings might give them something more to cheer about. Take it away.
I have no idea what you just said, Felix, but I'm sure it was really, really good because it is so loud inside Kudos Bank Arena. Great to have your company alongside the greatest ever Andrew Gaze and the best basketball brain in the country, Liam Santamaria. Drewy, let's talk about the Sydney Kings first and foremost. What does it look like as we take a look at their champion starting 5?
Well, I think it's just such a question mark about Derek Walton Jr. and Xavier Cooks. If they're healthy, then it's going to be tough for the New Zealand Breakers. Although, having said that, it was their bench of the Sydney Kings in Game 2 that really stepped up. But in this environment, sometimes those little aches and pains can be overcome when you've got 18,500 people screaming their support. So looking forward to see how those two go, and also with a slightly different starting lineup for the New Zealand Breakers.
Well, let's have a look at that, Liam Santamaria. Isaiah Liafa starting tonight.
That's the first key adjustment. Liafa comes in, and the next star, the future first-round draft pick, Rayan Repair, will come off the bench. So Liafa's going to provide a secondary ball handler, take a little bit of pressure off Will McDowell White, and he'll go to Dejan Vasiljevic off the opening tip.
Look at that picture. An NBL record crowd, sold out tonight, 18,000 people. It breaks the previous record of 17,514. Game 3 of the NBL Championship Series is underway. And it's the Breakers in possession first. They will not want to start the way they started in Game 2. There's McDowell White, which is exactly what he did in Game 1 on this floor.
Yeah, an aggressive start for him, and he gets rid of some of those nerves that he might have had. The 6 turnovers in Game 2 made it tough for the New Zealand Breakers, but again, they go back to an on-ball screen, and Will McDowell White steps up big.
All eyes on Derek Walton Jr. in his first quarter to see how he's moving. After that corky from last week, likewise Xavier Cooks, he can't score. Suarez with a tip jam.
Good follow from Suarez. Read that bounce perfectly. He's on the spot to put it back in. I like what New Zealand went to on that first possession. We've seen a lot of Will McDowell White operating off middle ball screens, and he had a lot of trouble creating space off that in Game 2. So they send him to the wing, little wing on ball operation, and he's able to find something at the cup.
This is Suarez on the putback. They need a little bit of help, every bit of help they can get. And Suarez, he's got some good size, puts a lid on it. And I think down the end, when you've got Will McDowell White and an on-ball and virtually in the corner, why they don't really step up and hard show and trap him in that corner, hard to distribute out of that corner.
Nice look for Abercrombie up top. It's long. Shooting at 25% from outside across the series, the New Zealand veteran. Justin Simon, aggressive straight away.
Well, the 3 ball's so important. We saw it in Game 1. It was crucial to the New Zealand Breakers. And if we take a look at the replay, just little action on the legs that caused the foul. But in that game too, in the last quarter, one thing that New Zealand Breakers did in the last quarter, they shot it well. They shot it poorly throughout the first 3 quarters, where they were 5 of 24 in the last quarter, 6 of 11. So they did take something out of that last quarter against the Sydney Kings on their home court.
An outstanding series he's had so far, Justin Simon. He was the offensive punch that they didn't know that they were going to get in game 1, and in game 2 he was everywhere. Both ends of the floor. He was the heart and soul of that victory on the road. Just over a minute played in game 3. Brantley in the corner. This is everything. Rebound by Pardon with 4 on the shot clock. Abercrombie will have to shoot. Didn't get away in time. Breakers lost control of the clock.
Well, they sure did. Lack of awareness there from the veteran, Tom Abercrombie. A little back and forth here with Mody Mayor from the sidelines.
Well, I think Mody, what he was saying is he was open. Although he missed the first one, be aware of the shot clock. He opened from the 3-point line. He's got to let that one fly.
Early lead 4-2 to Sydney. TJ Vasiljevic to the cup.
That's a great take. Vasiljevic on the attack early, the Kings putting it on the deck. Simon in transition. Vasiljevic there in the half court and putting heat on the cup.
Barry Brown in front of us getting set to check in for his first look tonight. Brantley, second time around from outside, buries it.
Well, after throwing an air ball, no hesitation on that one, shooting at 40% from the 3-point line throughout this series, so he's been good.
Simon throws the lob for Suarez. Early timeout for the New Zealand Breakers. And Tim Suarez, who only has 10 points in the series so far, has 4 in a couple of minutes in game 3.
And look, they get him involved. He handles the ball, dribble handoff, and then over the top. Here is Pardon. Gets caught in no man's land. Not a hard show. He's not in a deep drop, staying with Suarez as he rolls to the cup, and Justin Simon puts it right on the spot.
All that action happening so close to the basket. I'm not so sure. You don't want to come out too high. I think you need a little bit of help from the weak side. The tagger there, there was a body that needed to get there to offer some help.
8-5 early on, the Sydney Kings lead. And pre-game, Derek Rucker caught up with the coach of the Sydney Kings, Chase Buford.
Chase, you said making shots was the key to getting you to this grand final. What was the key in game 2?
Oh, man, just a gutsy defensive performance. I think we all fed off of Justin's energy, and you saw the guys out there just competing like there was no tomorrow, and they found a way to dig one out.
Made some great adjustments in game 2. You deserve a lot of credit for getting your team even in this series. Does that come from pre-game preparation, or how much instinct goes in that decision-making?
To be honest, it was a lot of the guys just bringing their competitiveness levels to another, to another level. And yeah, we made some small adjustments, but it was really only work because the guys went out and competed as hard as they could.
Well, they certainly did, and it was a gutsy performance, so gutsy that I spoke to one of their owners, Luke Longley, before the game, and he said, check this out, a man who's played with Michael Jordan in the flu game, the most gutsy performance he's ever seen in his basketball career.
Wowzers.
So perhaps he's got a very short memory. His long-term memory just gone a little awry, but such was the emotion around that game, the significance of it.
Big hit from Abercrombie out of the timeout. Scores tied at 8.
Really good find from Derek Pardon. Didn't rush as the double team came his way. Found the open shooter on the arc.
Vasiljevic got backdoor on Brantley. Good finish over the top.
That's what happens when Suarez sets the pick. So he came up and showed he's at the 3-point line. His defender doesn't leave him, and that opened up that cut to the basket because there was no help from the screener's defender.
Kings lead by 2. Liafa left open for 3. He knocks it down. Breakers in front for the first time since the opening bucket.
This is the kind of punch they needed from Liafa in this starting lineup. I like the change from Mody Mayor.
Fast start to this one. In front of a record crowd at Kudos Bank Arena. Vasiljevic lost the handle. Breakers with the outnumber up ahead. Liafa fouled and will be on the free throw line.
There you see the read from Derek Pardon. just looking over the top of the double team, finds the open shooter. And here, Brantley does similarly. The double comes, easy kick out, and Liafa here in transition made sure he got the contact, at least tried to finish. He headed to the strike for two.
Need to finish with the left hand. That should be an and one. And there's the great man I was talking about, Luke Longley. Maybe a little emotional about it all, but I think it shows just how gutsy it was when you lose your top two players are not available for the vast majority of that game. Cooks only played the 9 minutes and was really irrelevant in those 9 minutes. And Derek Walton Jr. only played the 4 minutes. And when you face that type of adversity, to come away with a win in that hostile environment, tremendous stuff.
Breakers have settled well. With a hostile crowd. Barry Brown into the game. Derek Walton Jr., top of the key, 6 on the shot clock. There's Suarez in the corner. What a start to the game for the Brazilian.
Oh, that's a really good hit, because Pardon was right there. He was right there on the contest. Suarez good enough to knock it in.
Tim Suarez, 7 points to start game 3. Brantley long on that one as well. The Breakers are happy to try their chances from outside in this first quarter. That caught a foot, no whistle from the officials. The Breakers turn on offense. Abercrombie denied by Suarez, who just did enough. And Walton Jr. in transition. Not a bad look. That rattles out. Scores tied at 13. Brown Jr. His first look blocked by Simon. He came out of nowhere. And a foul on the floor on Abercrombie.
That's
as he is Walton Jr. Just start to get a little acquainted with each other.
There you go. Well, I love that. Intense, nothing in it. Just a few words, but love the effort by Justin Simon. He was the hero in game 2. And there we see it. Derek Walton Jr. with just a few words to say. Abercrombie, the veteran, he goes, come on, man, I've been around a long time. There's nothing you can say to me that I haven't heard before. And just handles like a very mature player that he is. But Simon on that chase, if you're not going to switch on balls, you're relying on your defender to chase on a guy like Brown. And he did that well, swiping from behind, and that'll make Brown think about it.
Glover back door. What a possession for the Kings. Straight into the game, Angus Glover, and this bench unit, which has given them so much punch so far in the series, have started well.
Great cut and a great read and a perfect pass from Justin Simon. Put it right on the spot. Glover, instant impact off the bench. Great play call from Chase Buford as well. A little bit of a dead ball situation there with the back and forth. Had a chance to call that play and executed it perfectly.
Well, it's a surprise because it's a sideline out of bounds play. They run that same play the whole time. It's a kick out, a shuffle cut, and a stagger. They try and cheat the stagger, and Glover reads it beautifully and goes back door.
Angus Glover, plus 17 in the series so far. It's been excellent for them. Brantley had McDowell wide in the corner. He stepped out of bounds. Right in front of the official. You're not getting away with that one.
Good couple of minutes for the Sydney Kings. Really cranking up on the defensive end and getting to stops, and it's really well connected. A lot of help.
Jordy Hunter in for his first minutes as well, as is Rayan Rupert. The 18-year-old next up. Glover back door, same play, same result.
Again, really good movement off the ball from Angus Glover. Just sensed the defender playing on the high side. Hard cut to the rim, and he cashes in.
First quarters have been worth their weight in gold when these two teams have played across the season. Plus 47 is the winning team in first quarters. Rupert throwing up an air ball. That's 2 from the Breakers in the first quarter.
Glover's doing it both ends. That was a great closeout. Might have got a piece of that caused the air ball. Just the level of desperation, the intensity that we're seeing in this one here. It's fantastic to watch.
Hunter, Glover, Galloway, Walton Jr. and Noy on the floor for the Kings. Pardon, Brantley, Brown Jr., McDowell, White and Rupert for the Breakers.
What we've seen a lot of in this first quarter thus far is that the Breakers trying to operate away from Justin Simon. Whoever Justin Simon's guarding, he's not involved in the ball stream. So with him off the floor now, Will McDowell, White, Barry Brown Jr., they can do what they like at the offensive end.
Rupert scores, which would be good for his confidence. Only saw 8 minutes in game 2, 14 in game 1. And only a couple of days ago, or today I should say, number 16 in the latest ESPN mock draft for the NBA draft. Foul on the screen there. Jarrell Brantley. 16 points in game 1, 20 in game 2 for the South Carolina native, Jarrell Brantley. Been a big figure so far.
It was on. The overplay there, Geordie Hunter had him set up, but just wasn't on the same page as Galloway.
Who settled better, Liam?
Geez, I think both of them have had some hiccups here in this first quarter. It's been tough throughout. I think both still feeling their way into this ball game.
It's pass inside McDowell, White for low. Hunter got some ball, but got body. Free throws for the Breakers. Derek Rucker courtside.
Well, Coach Chase Buford really wants the Kings to play even quicker than usual. And Drew, I'm worried about how much impact that may take out on Derek Walton Jr. as he takes his first break of the game. The other thing is New Zealand are really targeting Walton Jr. away from the ball, so he's going to really have to hold up physically. Well, overall, a very good start, I feel, from both teams, with neither team really having the ascendancy, although it feels as if the Kings are the stronger team at the moment.
Yeah, it's a good call. Ruck. Blow goes to the strike.
Goes 1 of 2.
Walton Jr. checks out. They have been going at him. They want him involved in the ball screens, the Breakers.
Kawhi Noy was monumental for Sydney in game 2. Stood up big time when it mattered most. He couldn't score and Hunter couldn't tip it in. Sydney lead by 1, 17-16. Rupert. No good. Noy fighting for position in the low block. That went down in game 2. Not that time around. Brown Jr. cuts through the traffic. And the Breakers are doing a good job of getting themselves on the strike.
And they're doing a good job right now of penetrating their way into the lane. The big reason is because Justin Simon's not on the floor. So when he's out there and it's all these other guys like Sean Bruce, Angus Glover, Jalen Galloway, all good defenders in their own right, but playing against elite penetrating guards like Will McDowell, White and Barry Brown Jr., they're having a little trouble right now keeping them in front.
Well, that's true, and I think a lot of that's to do with trying to protect the three-point line. It's really spread, and the New Zealand Breakers now they're 3 of 9. Now, they've only had 12 field goal attempts, and 9 of them come from the three-point line. So, and they hit a few early, and the way in which the Sydney Kings have been guarding New Zealand from the three-point line will open up those driving lanes.
Brown Jr. misses both.
Wow.
Championship burgers for Kings fans.
Maybe just leave the cheerleading to the Sydney people.
Xavier Cooks down the lane.
Oh, my.
That's what's coming your way, Washington.
Well, any doubts about injury or leg problems were alleviated. He got up very high on that two-hand stuff.
And Rob Lowe with the immediate reply ties it up at 19.
They need that, the Breakers. Derek Pardon was at the score bench ready to check in for Rob Lowe, and Murdy Mayor said, go sit back down, big fella.
This Cooks taking it at Abercrombie. As you said, Drew, any issues here with Xavier Cooks, he's looking fine.
Well, here's the Amy replay, straight around. Brown's there, but doesn't get there in time. Look how wide open. That's inexcusable for the New Zealand Breakers. They got 4 guys on that weak side, and Cooks goes straight down the middle and really no help. Great drive by Cooks, but the New Zealand Breakers got to have better awareness because that's his game. That's what Cooks wants to do.
It was very deliberate by the Kings as well. Why did they go to him on that elbow catch? Because Jarrell Brantley went to the bench. Tom Abercrombie had that matchup. And Xavier Cooks, he just wants to play bully ball on Tom Abercrombie. So Murdy Mayor says, I got to flip that up. So Tom Vodanovic comes in now to try to muscle up and stay in front of Xavier Cooks.
I don't care who you have on Xavier Cooks on a one-on-one situation when he's out there at the elbow or on the wing. You need to show some people in the lanes. You've got to get that ball behind the ball and make him either pass it or shoot it from the perimeter.
Wind down the last 2 minutes of the opening quarter. Galloway tries hardest to stay in front of Brown Jr. Repair with athleticism turns the corner. And draws contact. Once more, the Breakers will be shooting free throws 7 and 8.
Good take from the teenager. Late in the shot clock there, you need to make a play. So he turns the corner with aggression, attacks the rim, maybe a little bailed out by the official. In the end, not a lot the defense did wrong, but at least it was a good, strong take late in the shot clock.
That's 3 fouls now for Geordie Hunter. He was one of the somewhat unsung heroes of that game too. 10 boards, and really did a good job around the paint. Has become a somewhat of a three-point threat. I wouldn't. At least going to require a short closeout.
3 of 7 so far from the free throw line. Breakers coach Murdy Mayor. Repair makes the second. And level once more. Game 3 of the championship series from Kudos Bank Arena. An NBL record crowd in the house tonight.
I think the Kings go right back here at Xavier Cooks. Try to attack these matchups.
Pass broken down. Rob Lowe getting his hand in the lane. This time Galloway guarding McDowell White. Lowe kicks it out for Rupert. They sat off. He can't score. And Cooks has that matchup of Vodanovic. Vasiljevic from a mile away. Repair with nice touch. That goes.
That's better than nice touch. Goes in and with the right hand, is able to find a body control to still make that fall for him.
Suarez has been outstanding so far, has 7 points. Confident enough to put the ball on the floor, and the Breakers took it away from him. Brown Jr. in the mid-range, 2 more for New Zealand. 7 seconds left. Cooks with ball in hand, time to create. Breakers happy to send him to the free throw line regardless.
With the bonus, so it's the 2. And here's Brown. This is another example of the modern game. There was 11 seconds left at that shot clock. They don't wait for the last one. They said, oh no, if I'm open, I'm letting this baby fly. And they get the 2, but they pick up a foul and send Cooks to the line where it's an adventure. It's an adventure when Xavier Cooks goes to the free throw line.
53% across the season, 55% throughout the playoff series. There's one.
They look nice.
What? It's been a life-changing week for Xavier Cooks.
Sorry, he was still walking through the laneway, and I didn't want to let it go for that.
He makes both.
He makes both like he knew what he's doing. Nothing but cotton both times. He'll do his confidence the world of good as well.
2.3 on the clock for the Breakers. It's going to be a 2-point lead to the visitors after one at Kudos Bank Arena. 24-22, but there's nothing like the competition's MVP in full flight. Xavier Cooks with a big-time dunk in the first quarter. You're watching Game 3 of the Championship Series in the Hungry Jacks NBL. An intriguing first quarter in Game 3 of the Championship Series between the Sydney Kings and the New Zealand Breakers in front of 18,000 people at Kudos Bank Arena. It's the Breakers who lead by 2, 24-22. As you can see from all of the emotion, so much on the line tonight. Liam Santamaria and Andrew Gates.
Wow, what a close first quarter. Just to bucket in it at this point, and both coaches will be frustrated a little bit at quarter time. The Kings a little loose with the rock, 6 turnovers. Oh, they make it 7 right here.
That is exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah, Chase Buford would have spoken about that in the huddle. And for the Breakers, just some missed opportunities. Just not shooting the ball at a high clip, 4 of 12 from long range and 4 of 8 from the free throw line.
They only had 17 field goal attempts, 12 of them came from the three-point line. And they looked so good when they were penetrating the paint. I think they just got to try and find that balance between what they're doing on the three-point line, and those shots are there, and it's something the Sydney Kings have been able to do, and it's a bit of a hit and miss now for the Breakers, and Rob Lowe knocks one down.
They've got the first 5 points of the second quarter, and they've done it in 40 seconds. Nice hands by Abercrombie, knocked it away from Cooks. Sydney yet to have a meaningful offensive possession in this second term. Cooks denies Brown Jr. Vasiljevic in transition, big time.
Great read from Sean Bruce, just surveying the landscape as he pushed the ball in transition. Had guys filling the lanes, and he found down Vasiljevic, striding into a look on the arc.
He's now the equal leading scorer in the game, Vasiljevic with 7. And 3 of 4 from the field. And Brantley will be called for a hook. Breakers by 4. Casey Frank courtside.
Well, Coach Monty Moore during that quarter break was okay with the offense, but he wanted to lift the defense we saw immediately, but he wanted better attention to detail, no more back cuts, more physicality on the box outs, and he saw some of that physicality to start the quarter.
And down here on the Kings end, Coach Chase Buford really wants the Kings to move the ball better, a lot more like this possession right here, even though DJ misses. He feels the turnovers may be a result of too much one-on-one isolation play.
Derek Rucker, Casey Frank courtside. Brantley. Back in on Kawat Noi. A turnover, New Zealand. The ebbs and flows of this game so far.
Well, it is, and they've been taking pretty good care of the ball the last couple of possessions. Brantley with the 2 turnovers, won the offensive foul, that time just a sloppy pass. And how they can take care of the ball and try and keep the Sydney Kings from that transition game where they're so potent.
Rob Lowe sits down with 7 points. He's +8. He's got the best plus-minus in the game so far. Big minutes off the bench. Galloway catch and shoot. Back to 1 the difference.
Everybody needs to be ready to step up and knock down shots. Defense are going to help off certain guys at certain times. Everyone on the floor needs to be ready to fire.
The Kings 3 of 7 from outside. New Zealand 5 of 13 from deep. Pardon muscles his way in. And will get his chance to score his first points of the game.
Well, I think they've got to find a way to get him more involved. He's an elite screener. He does an exceptional job down the other end on the defensive end. But as you mentioned, Jack, that's his first meaningful offensive attempt. He only has the 1 assist. It's the only stat he has. Prior to that one, got the 1-0 board as well.
Had 9 points in game 1, but only 1 rebound in game 1. Had 11 on Sunday, but only 6 points. So we haven't seen a lot of Derek Pardon.
I think the big factor for Derek Pardon is how the Kings are defending the pick and roll. Goes to the free throw line. Here's the boos from this massive crowd. What an enormous atmosphere we have here. This record-breaking crowd. But in that semi-final series against Tasmania, against the hard shows, now he averaged 15 points a game because he's open at the back end of those actions. But against the drops coverage here of the Kings, 7 points per game and not really involved.
Bruce can't score. Down White surveys his options. Good hands by Galloway. And he knocks it out of play.
Hang on. I don't have it hitting his feet. No, I can't see him. Yeah, so I don't have it hitting his feet.
Well, there's a hint that that might have come off the hip of Will McDowell-White. Let's have a look on the replay here. There's the hit. That's a good call. Straight out, DJ Vasiljevic trying to con the officials. There he goes, come off his hip. No, it didn't, DJ. No, it did not.
We're not buying what you're selling, DJ.
No.
Play breaks down.
Terrible.
As does that one.
Just a terrible pass. The pass was the right option, but it's just the execution was poor. Threw it at his feet. And when you're going at that pace, very hard to reel that one in.
So the big talking point coming into game 3 was the fitness of Xavier Cooks and Derek Walton Jr. Liam, what are you seeing so far?
Well, Walton Jr. hasn't had a big impact, to be honest. No points. He's taken 1 shot. He's got a couple of assists, but he's got a couple of turnovers. So whether he just hasn't been able to work his way into the game, there you see the pensive looks of the Sydney Kings ownership group, key decision makers. Xavier Cooks has looked good though. Yeah, he's got the heavy strapping on that right knee, but he's got some pep in his step and some bounce in those legs.
2-point lead to the visitors. It's been the away teams that have won every game between these two this season as McDowell White fills it up with 2 more.
Well, that's where Xavier Cooks is well off, pardon. He was a good 2 metres off on that on-ball screen. And if Will McDowell White can get that deep, he's tough to stop.
Travel for Simon. It's turnover number 9 for Sydney.
Just been loose.
Number 10, I should say.
Yeah. They've had just a heap of turnovers in that first quarter, and it hasn't got better here in the first few minutes of the second, and Chase Buford wants to chat about it. It's been the one thing holding them back here in this first half so far, and they haven't solved that problem since that quarter-time break.
32-28 in Game 3 of the Championship Series. At halftime, we had the opportunity in what's been a life-changing week with Xavier Cooks to sit down and have a chat about how he's going to become the next Australian to play in the NBA. Let's take a little look.
I found out from my agent, and then I got a Zoom call with the GM, the head coach, and that kind of stuff over there, and then that kind of felt pretty real after that. I don't think it will sink in until I get to America. So there's sometimes I'm just sitting back and I see a commercial with LeBron James, and I'm like, I'm going to the NBA, like, let's go.
We'll learn more at halftime. Xavier Cooks has got some work to do here, but I'm sure that the Cooks family as a whole are very, very proud of their boy right now. And Felix is with Xavier's dad, Eric.
Well, they're definitely proud. I'll tell you what, mine aren't too proud. I locked myself out of my apartment this week and had to call my mum to let me back in. But you will be very proud of your son because, of course, inking an NBA deal this week, you couldn't be prouder, could you?
Oh, definitely. Very proud of him. He worked very hard for this, so I'm very proud that he achieved one of his goals.
Now, I read during the week there was an article where when Xavier was younger, there was a lot of self-doubt on his part, but you always had that faith that he was going to be able to get there.
Oh, yeah. I had a lot of confidence that he would, for one, grow a lot taller, but I thought he had the skills it took to become a better player. So.
Now, you're an NBL legend in your own right, and Xavier was telling me before the game that he's just so surpassed you that you guys barely even talk about it anymore.
No, we still talk about it quite a bit, but I'm very proud of him, and I think he's proud of what I achieved as well.
I love it. I reckon you still got him in driveway one-on-one. Back to you, fellas.
Nicely done, Felix, and congratulations to Eric and the whole Cooks family. It's been a phenomenal week for them. Brown Jr. into the lane, trying to invent something with the left hand.
Tell you what, it's hard to see is Xavier Cooks with the Sydney Kings top on. Eric Cooks with the Sydney Kings top on. Having known him for a long, long time, played against him and being a dedicated Hawk, it just looks a little uncomfortable.
There'll be people watching in Illawarra tonight who feel a little bit sick after seeing that. Another turnover for Sydney. Junior can't score at the other end. No foul call. Glover trying to get his head on the rim. Foul on Brown Jr.
He did that, Cody.
It is getting heated out there between these two teams. Both coaches riding the officials. So much on the line, Derek Rucker.
Well, Drury and Liam, it's hard when we get these former athletes who now have sons. We get the names mixed up like I did in the pregame with Daryl McDowell White and his son, Will. The only difference is, Drew, Will just messaged me and said he sent me $100 for the mention, so I hope the Cookses do the same for you, buddy.
Well, I think it might be Daryl wanted messenger. I don't think Will's sitting on the bench there sending text messages.
Pretty sure the integrity department won't be keen on him having his phone there. Nice pass, Walton Jr. for Glover, feet set.
Well, he's become automatic. From the three-point line, he's turned into a guy that you're surprised when it misses rather than he makes, and that time wide open.
Nice pass inside. McDowell White gives Brantley the green light, and he draws a foul on Cooks.
It'll be a welcome sight for Kings fans. This attack from Walton Jr. Explosive, off the bounce, straight line drive, draws the help, and then the vision, the kick out to Angus Glover, ready to fire, Drewy. That's the explosion off those legs that we probably didn't see much in the first quarter, but he's starting to warm himself into the game.
And on that play, you go back and you review it and you say your rotations were spot on. And the answer to stopping that is to do a better job of the penetrations, because we saw the weak side go drop down. Pardon tries to rotate out from the top, but when you've got a straight line drive like that, it becomes really hard to guard and put so much pressure on your rotations. You've got to sit down and try and slide your feet and be a little bit more of a distraction on the drive.
Saw Jarrell Brantley's numbers in the championship series so far. He and Xavier Cooks, albeit short-lived in game 2, but have been an enthralling matchup so far. Shot clock at 10 for Sydney. Junior pulls up. Foul on Abercrombie, push in the back. It's going to be his second. In fact, that'll be his third.
Mody Mayor going deep to the bench. He's going to bring Cam Glidden in response to that third foul. His first action in this game 3, but they end up going quite small here, so Glidden has to guard. He goes to Glover. Will McDowell-White slides over to guard Justin Simon.
And that's an expensive one. Abercrombie can guard multiple positions and was a little unlucky on that. I think Brooks might put a bit of mayo on the push off.
Simon baseline. Cuts it back to 1. Four points now for Simon. 3 assists as well. Liafa, who started tonight. Glidden kept that alive. Shot clock in single figures. Liafa pulls the trigger, and that's way off.
Well, Mody Mayor wants to chat about it. He's calling for time. Just a little loose with the rock. Brantley there. And again, just tries to flip it out with one hand and essentially results in a turnover. Have to hoist it from long range late in the shot clock. And they're a little out of sorts, the Breakers. Yeah, they got the 1-point lead, but Mody Mayor not happy in how they're executing at the offensive end of the floor.
1-point lead to the Breakers. Let's get courtside to Felix von Hoff.
Thanks, Jack. I'm lucky enough to be here with Showtime Sean Porter, boxing legend who's here for the Tony Harris and Tim Tszyu fight. He's going to be on the commentary team now. You fought some of the biggest names in boxing: Adrian Broner, Errol Spence, Andrew Gaze. Am I right?
Not Andrew Gaze. I know a lot about him, right? So I'm retired because I had a lot of hard nights. Andrew Gaze, that's an easy night for me, so I'll come out of retirement for that one.
Look, man, you know what? I've boxed him before. I reckon you got him covered. But look, hey, welcome here. What's the atmosphere? You fought in some massive stadiums on some of the biggest nights in sport. How does this all compare?
I'll tell you what, it's a fun night of basketball. The same crowd shows up for fight night. We're going to have an amazing night of boxing.
Hey, remember, and if you want to watch it on TV, it's going to be on Main Event. Give us a prediction. Tim Tszyu, Tony Harrison, who are you siding with?
Great fight, hard fight for both guys. 50-50, really. I think it's going to be Tim's motor all night against Tony's intelligence. So hard night. I got to go with Tony, man. I think that experience is going to be a little too much for Tim.
Well, I'll tell you what, no matter what, it's going to be a better fight between you and Andrew Gaze. I reckon you might have that one covered. Thank you for joining us. Back to you, boys.
Now, Drew, you know that we're tight. We know that we stick together as a commentary team, but if he comes over here, you are on your own.
No, I'm a talker. I'm not a fighter. I won't be engaging in that activity. But I do want my man, Tim Tszyu. He's going to line it up, light this joint up.
Sydney back in front.
Well, Justin Simon sliding along that baseline, causing trouble for the Breakers. I mentioned they went a little small after Abercrombie picked up his third, and Simon going to work down low right now.
Breakers led by as much as 7 in the early stages of the second quarter. And watch that lead diminish. McDowell-White as easy as you like off the glass.
Well, that was the first play of the game they ran. And again, it was an on-ball screen coming out of that corner. And again, Will McDowell-White. That's going to be a foul on White, and that's going to be a goal tip. A double whammy. There we go. Getting to the cup and gets the foul.
How are those arousal levels right now?
Have a look at this. There's the foul here by Will McDowell-White. His hand gets caught up, and just a poor decision. I'm not sure that ball was going to go in. Instead, it goes to the opportunity for the and one. I think it was a little low for my liking.
And the double whammy for Will McDowell-White. He comes to the bench with his second foul and cops a fair dressing down on the way past from coach Mody Mayor. Junior misses the extra. Glidden, an opportunity for him. Only seen him for 7 and 8 minutes in the 2 games so far. Shot clock at 3. Brown Jr., beautiful pass for Pardon. Had it knocked out of his hand by the Kings. Walton Jr. in transition. 18,000 strong cheering on their team right now.
Sparked by the defense. Great hands from Cooks. Underneath, puts out the fire, and Walton Jr. strides into the open look from range.
Kings lead this quarter by 6. Jarrell Brantley, outstanding. They bring this back to 1 and just slow the Kings down for a moment. Glover pulls up over the top of Glidden. Cooks with the offensive rebound. Nice D from Glidden, got a piece of that.
Outstanding hustle by Brown.
They're not going to get over. That's 8 seconds.
What are they doing?
More lack of awareness of the clock from the Breakers.
They look a little fatigued right now, the New Zealand Breakers. It's been a lot of energy expended at both ends of the floor. And again, this is just a poor decision. Here you see the hustle by Brown, and then it's too long. Got to get it over. Could have got it over, but no clock awareness by Liafa. And he just got to be out. He should be just sprinting that ball over the centre line.
2 minutes to play in the opening half.
Jeez, that's good defense.
Legal guarding position. Established.
Just picked it well here that he was going to step back to the middle. Great job by Liafa, and he draws the offensive foul.
The fouls continue to rack up for both teams. That's now 2 on Derek Walton Jr.
Legal guarding position. It's always been like that.
Heard the explanation there from Michael Aylan. The fatigue on every player on the floor right now is visible. Physically and emotionally draining.
No basket. Number 0 hit inside the hedge.
We're over the limit, the Sydney Kings. So Harry Brown Jr. will go to the free throw line. Just the first personal on Justin Simon. And with 1:42 remaining and a timeout up their sleeve, Chase Buford's going to take the opportunity to chat about it, see if they can close out this half on a high.
Sydney lead it by 1. Here's the Amy replay. Sydney defensively have come up with some big answers in this first half.
I gave the credit to Cooks on the fly, but it was the great hands from Simon in the end. Collected it, pushed it, found Walton Jr. And that's when they're at their most comfortable, the Kings. And didn't this record-breaking crowd erupt when he knocked that down from long range?
To celebrate the off-season, you can head to nbl.com.au/Lux for your chance to win Xavier Cook's dream off-season holiday to Hawaii. It's worth $10,000 and includes flights and accommodation. 4 other great prizes up for grabs: Bali, the Gold Coast, Fraser Island, or the New South Wales North Coast, thanks to Luxury Escapes. All you need to do, spin the wheel each day before the 20th of March. For more entries, terms and conditions apply. You can head to the NBL website for more details. Liam Santamaria, I just saw you scan that QR code. You can't enter.
Oh, no.
T's and C's, my friend. T's and C's. Casey Frank, courtside.
Monty Moore was really focused on executing with 4 minutes left. He wasn't happy at this timeout. But what we did say is pick up the defense. We're going to see a trap. All balls coming out, switch if they have to, but a hard trap and a double if they have the opportunity to close out for this next couple of possessions.
Well, they've been very good on the defensive end as far as forcing the Kings into turnovers. 12 turnovers, and we've still got a minute and almost 2 minutes to play in this one. That's a lot of that coming just from the pressure of the New Zealand Breakers.
A reminder, in the 5 games that they've played against each other this season, the home team has not won any of them. It's bizarre.
The other thing worth keeping in mind is how important it is to win game 3 of a 5-game series. Ever since the NBL went to a 5-game championship series, the winner of game 3 has gone on to win the series 11 of the 12 times. A lot on the line tonight.
Rob Lowe whistled for the foul. You can hear his frustration, and New Zealand over the limit. So Justin Simon will be shooting free throws.
I like the action. Put Rob Lowe in those on-ball screens and go at him. And you can see the big fella sometimes a little difficult for him to shuffle the feet, trying to get out there to hard show. And that time, not too bad. And then when there's a switch, just can't keep him out in front. Derek Walton Jr. checks out of the game.
Looked a little sore as he's made his way to the bench too.
Certainly did. Spoke to Sydney Kings coaching staff before the game and asked them about the work they did, and he said it was a really tough juggling act of how much intensity they could put in their preparation because they're already dealing with some injuries. So, but they said they went short and sharp a couple of days to really try and stay fresh and go at it. And they look good. They've looked good so far, with the exception of the turnovers.
Low at the top of the key. Now back in the hands of Brown Jr. Late clock to work with. His 3 is money.
That is all kinds of tough. Kawanoe late in the shot clock did the right thing. Stayed there to contest the 3, and Brown Jr. was good enough to knock it in.
Cook's backing in at the other end. Can't score. Brown Jr. tries back-to-back trebles. The Breakers are charging towards halftime.
He's one of the toughest in the competition. When he sees one's goes in, he's going to let it fly even if they're not going in.
Just when we thought it was the Kings who had momentum, Simon, foul, and 1.
Strong finish from Simon. I love the point guard play here from Isaiah Liafa. Here's the first triple from Brown Jr. late in the shot clock, and then on the fly, next time down the floor, Liafa's like, you're a microwave. I'm going right back to you. You got to let that thing fly.
Microwave. Vinny himself. Vinny shots coming off the bench and just heating up. I like it. And I can see the similarities. With Brown, his passing gives an afterthought. But when you can shoot it like he can, why wouldn't you?
Last play of the opening half will belong to the Breakers. They lead by 4. So they found some energy late in this second quarter. 5 seconds. Liafa for 3. Doesn't go. 47-43. The New Zealand Breakers lead at halftime in Game 3 of the Championship Series.
Yeah, outstanding work by the New Zealand Breakers at both ends of the floor. A lot of self-inflicted wounds by the Sydney Kings with those 12 turnovers. That's an issue they need to address, but a lot of it's because the men in light blue and what they've been able to do on the defensive end.
Let's get courtside to Casey Frank.
Well, Rob Lowe, great start for you guys. Came out strong, firing. What's gone well for you here in the first half?
Yeah, it's just playing confident and aggressive, you know, on offense and on defense, you know, stay to our morals, what we've done all season, play hard, play aggressive and rebound the ball.
How's it been dealing with the ebb and flow of the crowd? They're getting really hyped up when things are going well for Sydney.
I mean, the crowds all throughout the NBL have been great all year, so this is nothing. You know, it's awesome atmosphere, but we're out here to send them home unhappy.
A little lax with the basketball times here in the first half. How can you clean that up in the second?
You know, it's part of basketball. Some turnovers happen. We got to keep playing aggressive, keep playing confidence, and we'll be great.
Thanks for the time, Rob.
Angus, you said this is a game of runs. What can you do to limit their runs?
I think a couple times we probably not climbed into the ball as well as we did in game 2. Playing behind them, they're getting to their floaters, hitting the roll guy, so that's where they're getting their runs from. They're shooting the ball really well too, but yeah, that's their main threat right now.
Speaking of shooting the ball well, you're coming in and providing a really good punch, especially from deep. Has Coach Buford been on you to really emphasize that in the rest of this series?
Yeah, he said to me, try and be aggressive as much as I can, and yeah, the guys are just finding me in the right areas tonight.
Okay, Angus, thanks for talking to us.
Half-time at Kudos Bank Arena. Plenty to talk about on the other side of this. It's the Breakers who lead 47-43. You're watching the Championship Series in the Hungry Jacks NBL.
Since I was 18, I first had the dream of going to the NBA. I went to college, I had a pretty good college career. You get a little bit of love, but there was really no traction. And then I was like, all right, I'll go to Germany for a year. Still didn't really get much traction then. And then you start to like, maybe it's me, maybe it's what's gonna happen. I come off a knee injury when I first signed with Sydney, and that was devastating. That was my first major injury I've ever had to deal with. The next year was supposed to be my year. I had a great preseason, and then the first preseason game, I broke my foot. It was a tough mental battle that year, from going up to being ready to be the guy to then being, sitting on the bench for a whole season. I'm 27 years old now, and I felt like I've been knocking on the door for a couple of years now. I mean, my agent always told me never give up hope, just keep fighting and fighting and fighting.
Cooks. Oh my! Big play at a big moment.
And my way to the NBA was always going to be by winning at Sydney Kings, not by putting individual performances. It's by winning and showing what that winning can do on a basketball court.
How many is that for the highlight reel this season for Xavier Cooks?
I found out from my agent, and then I got a Zoom call with the GM and the head coach, and that kind of felt pretty real after that. My parents were over the moon. They're thrilled. I tried to tell them to keep it a secret for a little while, and they're just jumping for joy. Like, we just want to get it out and tell our family over in America and all that kind of stuff. They're obviously over the moon and thrilled for me. I don't think it will sink in until I get to America, but there's sometimes I'm just sitting back and I see a commercial with LeBron James, and I'm like, I'm going to the NBA. Like, let's go.
Xavier Cooks having a night out.
I think I'm going to try and approach this by taking little steps at a time. You know, get on the court and then make a positive impact in the game, and then maybe, you know, crack a starting spot down the line. From there, and becoming maybe a household name in America one day. But the Kings invested so much time and so much money and so much effort into me and my development that I feel that I owe it back to the Kings. It's been a long journey, but we're finally getting there.
Well, Xavier Cooks no doubt feeling top of the world right now, but it's the New Zealand Breakers who are on top of the Kings by 4 points in what has been a neck and neck first half. You look at that man bringing the action in the first quarter, but right now the Sydney Kings, as they were in game one, just trailing at the half.
Well, they are, and they're really hurting themselves with the turnovers. They've committed 12 in the first half, which has led to a surplus of New Zealand Breaker points on those turnovers. And right now, Casey, I think if New Zealand can keep up the intensity, knock down enough shots from the three-point line, they have a very good chance of getting out of Sydney with this game 3.
Well, that would go along to the script, but beside all those turnovers, they only have one more shot than the Kings in the first half, and that's because of their work on the glass. They're going to have to clean up in that area and those other small areas where the Kings are beating them. Backdoor cuts, little loose balls, they're getting a lot of those. That's what's keeping them in the game.
Well, I feel like I'm getting a bit of deja vu right now, because in game one, we were talking about Justin Simon being perfect from the field, and we're talking about it again. It was 6 from 6 in game one, only 3 for 3 at the moment, but once again, 4 assists as well. He's bringing that efficiency, and while the Stars are having somewhat of a quiet night, he's bringing the heat.
Well, he's been the leader in this championship series for the Kings, and you can see he's been hanging around the bucket, timing his cuts properly, and we know what he's able to do on the defensive end. So if he's providing this type of input offensively, those are good signs for the Kings.
And that movement off the basketball is driving Modi Moore crazy. He wants his guys to find him on the court, know where he is, but it's so valuable to have a guy like that that doesn't need to have the ball in hand and still can create so much offense for you.
Well, you look at that right now, Justin Simon, 9 points, 3 for 3. It doesn't get much more efficient than that. I said it in game one. If I'm 3 for 3 at half, you best believe I'm throwing up 20, 30 shots in the second half.
There's no doubt about that, and I'm sure Andrew Graves would definitely agree with you. But when you're feeling it, you've got to find ways to continue to capitalize on that for the benefit of your team, especially, Casey, when it's obvious Derek Walton Jr. and Xavier Cooks don't quite have the offensive punch that they normally would.
Xavier Cooks looks pretty free moving out there. He's being aggressive to the hole, but Derek Walton Jr., it's been stop and go at times, and certainly Justin Simon needs to lift that, but Angus Glover, as well as Jordan Hunter, needs to find a way to get back into this game. That foul trouble's hurting him.
Well, that's enough about the Kings. Barry Brown for the Breakers, constantly bringing the points. Probably not at the efficiency level that he would want, but he's still bringing it once again for New Zealand.
Well, I don't think efficiency is very important when it comes to Barry Brown Jr. I told you last week, all they want him to do is go out and get buckets. And that's what he did late in that second quarter. He went for back-to-back threes and really caused a little bit of a break in this game and put some pressure on the Kings going into this third quarter. Now, coming out of this, Casey, the Kings got to get on top of him right away because he'll be exuding a lot of confidence. You know him.
A lot of confidence and a lot of energy. Him and Modi Moore had a little bit of a back and forth right prior to him shooting those threes. Obviously did not affect the confidence at all. And you're right, the efficiency is not what he needs to do. He needs to be gravity. He needs to draw those defenders to him, get the ball in the rim so his bigs can go grab it off the offensive glass.
Well, it's a 4-point lead for the Breakers in front of a record-breaking NBL crowd. All the action coming up next.
We've already put it on the wrong way. We're going to have to go back.
Welcome to NBL Weekenders, a series where your favourite hoopers will jump off the court and onto the tools with help of the team at Bunnings.
Pulled up the Bunnings, put her in park. Let's go have a look inside. Trying to find the right pizza oven for home out the back, something pretty easy.
If I was you, I'd be tending to lean towards the gas variety.
Sounds like it's got me written all over it. Maybe some chairs or something to go around it. I reckon that might be it. We've got to put the base together, so we'll get cracking and see how we go. How good's that? Stones in. Let's fire it up. Start cooking some pizza.
Great to have your company for Game 3 of the NBL Championship Series between the Sydney Kings and the New Zealand Breakers. It's New Zealand who lead 47-43. Third quarter not too far away. Jack Hebron in commentary with Andrew Gaze and Liam Santamaria. Drewy, what have you made of the opening half?
I think it's been high quality. The turnovers is an issue for both these teams, but I think when you look at the way in which this has panned out, it's pretty much gone as expected. The ominous sign for the New Zealand Breakers is Barry Brown Jr. He finished that first half in white-hot form.
There's Abercrombie off the opening possession. Not for the first time tonight. Suarez goes straight up. Changes that shot, knocks it out of play.
He does that really well. Tim Suarez, the last line of the defense.
Well, he got a challenge.
The verticality, and Chase Buford, yeah, he went straight to his guys on the laptop. I said, have a good look at that. I think that might have come off Tom Abercrombie. He's going to throw the coach's challenge out there.
Gee, the video guy has to be so quick because he don't have a lot of time to hit the replay button and go through it, but they've done a job. They've seen something that they didn't like, and you want to get this right because Chase Buford will not be happy if he burns an early timeout in the second half where you only get 3 of them. Let's have a look. He's at the rim. Ooh. Now, did he hit it and then the follow through? Oh, that's going to be hard to overrule, isn't it?
I think that's going the way of the Kings. I think, watch the ball in Abercrombie's hands. The last little action is him kind of pushing it out towards the baseline.
Yes, you're right. That angle is the one that shows that Abercrombie was the last to touch it. And tough from that angle.
When you're ready, production.
We're ready.
Upon review, the coach's challenge is successful. The call on the floor is overturned. It is now a Sydney ball.
And the video analysis person keeps his or her job.
A big sigh of relief.
How would you go in that role, Drew, on the laptop?
Yeah. Well, I'd be poor because the reviews that I've called, very rarely do I get them right.
To me, Liam, the biggest worry would be turnaround time, to be honest.
I don't think he has the tech sorted, to be honest.
As Cooks, 5 points in the opening half. Vasiljevic, catch and shoot. That's off the front of the iron. Sydney 6 of 11 from the free throw line, 5 of 12 from outside in the opening half. Shot clock at 8. McDowell White left open.
He had the mismatch. McDowell White with Xavier Cooks in front of him. Harden wasn't sure whether he wanted the screen or not, and in the end, McDowell White just lined it up and drilled it.
He's a perfect 4 of 4. McDowell White. TJ Vasiljevic coming off a 4 of 6 3-point outing. And he's just showing a little inconsistent.
Contact underneath. Officials let them play. Pardon rolls to the basket. Nice finish and one.
Well, that's some cause for concern for the Kings, as this is Will McDowell White doing what he did in game 1. The confidence is growing. Bang from long range, the previous possession. And then operating off the Pardon ball screen, drawing the help. Beautifully timed drop off. And one opportunity for Derek Pardon underneath.
This is the extra. 9 of 15 on the line tonight, the Breakers. Across the season, they shot at 72% from that spot. Vasiljevic. Didn't get that to go either. Great look.
They're going to need to find a way to get DJ going. Again, we saw the difference he made in that game too when he was lights out. And there's the foul, reaching in foul. And it just seems like DJ's thinking about it. Last one the tempo of his shot just a little slower and guiding it and hoping that the ball's going to go in rather than confidently going up and knowing it's going to go in.
7th in the competition across the regular season. 3 points made. DJ Vasiljevic on cue.
That was much better. Caught it in rhythm, wide open. And he's been wide open a couple of times. He finally gets one to fall. Oh my.
Down White getting into the lane. That one doesn't go. Numbers against Derek Walton Jr., but that won't stop him. Last touch by Simon.
Good job in transition there from Abercrombie. Here's the catch and shoot from Vasiljevic. They've lost him a couple of times.
They have.
These last couple of minutes, Isaiah Le'afa not as locked into that matchup every time down the floor like he needs to be.
All of that on the Amy replay. Back down to Le'afa. Shot clock at 7. Forces his way in over the top of Cooks. Did everything except finish. Simon found on the cut. Back-to-back buckets for the Kings.
And that was just a beautiful find by DJ Vasiljevic as well. Sees one's fall this time, gets deep into the paint and reads the back cut of Simon perfectly.
Abercrombie no good. Sydney starting to get the game at their pace in this last minute or so. Cooks. He's going to claim it.
Well, what he does, he's relentless on the boards. We saw him tap one out and down the other end. This time, just continual work ethic. People in front gets a hand on it and gets a lucky break.
Le'afa. Big business at the other end for New Zealand.
No hesitation from Le'afa. Simon slips under the ball screen. Le'afa has the confidence to drill that thing.
Breakers lead by 5. Foul call reaching in on Abercrombie. And that is going to be 4 now on the Breakers veteran.
Le'afa, he's too good a shooter to leave him wide open like that.
He's not happy as he sits down. Simon turning the corner with the left hand off the glass.
That's just a really good athlete getting to the rim. Not a lot much more Will McDowell-White could have done. I thought he defended it quite well, but just good work by Simon.
13 points on 5 of 6 for Simon, and that's a push in the back.
There's a lot of big-time names in this Sydney Kings team and a lot of superstars, but Justin Simon in this grand final series, if he keeps up this, he might be taking home 2 trophies at the end of it. He has been outstanding again in this one with the 13 points, 5 of 6 from the field as well. He's got 4 assists.
Here's Vasiljevic, and there it is. Tied away at 55.
It just surprised Liam how wide open he's been. In transition, they're not meeting him early enough. In the half court, they're helping out off a lot of him and finding himself wide open.
12 points to 5 in the third quarter in favour of Sydney. McDowell-White continues to get that look in the mid-range.
Really important bucket for the Breakers. Momentum well and truly with the Kings right now. And McDowell-White quietens this massive Kudos Bank Arena crowd just for a second.
He's worked his way into double figures now, much like game 1. Walton Jr. head down, blocked. Xavier Cooks stuffs it.
And that's what I'm talking about, the relentless effort of crashing the boards. 7 times out of 10, you'll make that effort and you don't come up with it, but you're not going to pick up the 3 unless you go there 10 times. And this time the ball bounces nicely for Cooks.
Just timed it perfectly off the glass. The athleticism of Cooks on display. After the block from Brantley, no one else to clean up the mess, and Cooks goes bang. Timeout, Breakers.
57 apiece at Kudos Bank Arena on an enormous night for Australian basketball. Felix von Hoff.
Jack, I'll tell you what, we are higher than Bob Marley up here in the bleachers at the moment. It is absolutely going off. I think the beer must be cheaper, and it's where they've stored all the screaming kids because they're going absolutely nuts. But the reason is because this is the biggest crowd in NBL history, 18,049, and I think I can see the 49th person just sitting right up there. Absolutely unreal atmosphere, the loudest I have ever heard this arena, and arguably one of the best crowds we've ever seen in the history of basketball in this country. Maybe a throwback to the 2000 Olympics even, but I'll tell you what, basketball is alive and well in Sydney, and you just got to get out here to a game to see it.
Amazing.
It is amazing, and saw Larry Kesselman before the game, and just to see the smile on his face and how warm his heart must be when you think back 8 or 9 years ago and what he's been able to do in order to rejuvenate this sport, and certainly Paul Smith as well, the principal owner of the Sydney Kings. Fantastic effort by him and all the King staff to put on a show like they have here.
Record-breaking night for basketball in this country, the biggest NBL crowd ever. And as well as being broadcast to a global audience. Suarez at the free throw line, off the front of the iron. Can't add to his 7 points that all came in the first quarter. The Breakers have played in fits and spurts in this game 3. Their best is very good, but when they go to sleep, Sydney are making them pay. Foul on New Zealand.
Who's that last? Oh, hold on. Going on underneath here. Physicality. Choice words exchanged.
It's a mismatch. Brown there, look at the hold. That's what he's got picked up for, the hold of the leg. And good recognition to find Cooks down low and recognise the mismatch. Just a little bit of how you going.
3:43 remaining in this third quarter. Casey Frank courtside.
Well, Mortimer came out last time out, and he was extremely upset with the defense, losing Vasiljevic on multiple plays. He used some choice words that I can't repeat here, but the team got the message. They're blocked in since that last break.
Yeah, it was the issue we highlighted before. Here is that last Vasiljevic three. Look at the overhelp from Vliafa. He's coming down to crash down on Justin Simon, but it opens up Vasiljevic on the arc, and that's why in that last huddle, Rodemayor made it clear, you have to stay with him. If he catches fire, we're in trouble.
Junior off the inbound. Fouled in the act of shooting three. 2 fouls in 15 seconds for Barry Brown as well.
It was a really quick release, and he knew that Brown was really close, and he did a good job of drawing that foul. Have a look at the catch and shoot here. Catches it, sees Brown there, just waves the ball in front and almost invited Brown to get his hand to get caught in the cookie jar.
And that'll be 3 now for Brown Jr. Walton Jr. has 6 points.
We've got some issues. The foul count, the Breakers. He joins Jarrell Brantley on 3, and Tob Abercrombie, as we know, calling his Jets on the bench right now with 4.
Game 4 will be Sunday afternoon back at Spark Arena. Another record crowd expected for what will be the biggest crowd ever for a Breakers home game. They've had to reconfigure the venue to try and get more people in. You catch that game live, of course, on ESPN. And Sky Sports in New Zealand. Offensive foul They are not having a good couple of minutes here, New Zealand.
No, and that time there, Walton falls to the ground. Brantley's set. It's the arm. It's the right arm that was out that brought him undone. And that's an expensive one.
4 on Jarrell Brantley now to go with the 4 for Tom Abercrombie, which means that Tom Vodanovic, when Xavier Cooks comes back out here, will have sole responsibility of guarding him.
I dare say they're going to go at Kawanoy. Yeah, they're going to use Angus Glover as the screener.
There is Noy. Simon can't score. Breakers just need to take a deep breath here. Momentum building the home team's way. Vodanovic, catch and shoot. That rattles out. Here's Glover. Good look for him that goes begging as well. 2.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Game 3 in the championship series. The Kings by 2. Basket won't count. Rob Lowe continuing to play important minutes for his team.
Motomayor trying to get Barry Brown Jr. going again, like he was late in the second quarter. He's called that zipper 4 action last 2 times down the floor. Trying to get that double screen for him up high so he can operate. He hasn't quite been able to shake loose.
Leading scorer for New Zealand, Will McDowell-White has 11. Simon and Vasiljevic have 13 for the Kings. That time for McDowell-White, low again. Gives the Breakers another look at things. Brown Jr. from the elbow. Doesn't go. Hunter rolls to the basket, all alone.
Starting to get on top now, the Sydney Kings. The help there, no rotation whatsoever. If you're going to hard show, see, low hard shows, if you have no help, it's just a matter of whether the pass can get there. And that middle on-ball situation causing some problems for the New Zealand Breakers.
18 points to 7 in the third quarter in favour of the home team. Pardon taking on 3.
The length, the size of those Kings underneath, troubling the Breakers around the rim. Geordie Hunter just a little unawares on that action, got held up on the cross screen. Chase Buford chewing him out. Breakers will take it out underneath.
Derek Walton Jr. with 7 assists now in the game. The Sydney Kings. Next foul for them will be free throws for New Zealand.
Kings hopped into the zone to guard the baseline out of bounds.
McDowell-White. Walton Jr. surveying his options. Had Glover on the way to the basket. Late whistle goes Sydney's way.
Look at it, see a lot of contact in live action, and I didn't see a lot on the replay either.
If you're a Breakers fan watching on right now, Liam, what's happening with their team?
Well, Walton Jr.'s been getting on top. They would be very pleased to see him taking a break. You mentioned the 7 assists. He really has been the puppet master throughout this third quarter, getting the Kings good looks at the offensive end, and they're just struggling to finish and execute at the other end, the Breakers.
They've had some good looks, Liam, and they just haven't been able to knock them down. And last one with Will McDowell wide open from the three-point line. Barry Brown Jr. struggling. 3 of 11.
Low off the back of the iron. They're cold right now, New Zealand. Kawatnoi drives. He can't finish off. And Rupert goes tearing down the other end. Great take from the youngster.
Good composure. Going full bore there in that last 2 steps. Has got the body control just to hold it up and get around the defender like he's on a full sprint. And you see the transition. Will McDowell doing a great job on the boards. Going 100 mile an hour. That last 2 steps times it well. And gets his couple of free throws.
That will be 5 fouls for Geordie Hunter. So what's been a fantastic series for him, Liam, has unfortunately come to a pretty quick end. 5 fouls in 5 minutes.
Just couldn't stop fouling in this one. Had the season high 15 points in game 1, the season high 10 rebounds in game 2. But he's fouled out. Just 5 minutes of action in game 3.
More bonus free throws for Sydney. Now Xavier Cooks and Rob Lowe having a chat about it.
I thought Rob Lowe did a good job. 4 fouls now, so does a good job there, keeps him in front. And it was just a hip. Just not there quite quick enough. The right leg sticks it out. Hard for the official to ignore it.
He joins the 4 fouls club for the Breakers with Brantley and Abercrombie. Roddy Mayora's got some serious man management to do in this last quarter.
Jump out. Let's go. 1.
Their lead is 6. Brown Jr. a long way from the basket, guarded by Galloway. Shot clock into single figures. Tough pass for Pardon to control. It's knocked out of play. 4 seconds remaining off the inbound for New Zealand.
I like the fact that they're trying to go play through Barry Brown Jr., but ball's in his hands a long time, not a lot of movement, and you can see as he made that penetration into the paint, he's going up against a really prepared defense behind him. It makes it really hard for him.
Glover was awake to the lob. The shot clock's been switched off. Back with Xavier Cooks once more. Found the open Galloway. Brilliant end of the quarter for Sydney. And what has been a massive turn for them. They lead 67-59. The Breakers need to come up with some solutions at 3/4 time at Kudos Bank Arena in the Hungry Jacks NBL. Big move from the Sydney Kings in the third quarter. They outscored New Zealand 24 points to 12 and lead with a quarter remaining in Game 3 of the Championship Series, 67-59 in front of a record crowd at Kudos Bank Arena.
Yeah, it was. It was a really solid quarter for the Sydney Kings. They got the New Zealand Breakers, a couple of key players in particular, Brownlee, with those foul issues, and 0 turnovers in that quarter for the Sydney Kings. And they start to get a bit of dominance on the boards as well, where they lead that count 33-26, and it doesn't get any easier as Kawatanoe gets the fourth period started for the Sydney Kings.
What needs to change, Liam, if you're a Breakers fan right now?
Just got to get going a little bit offensively. Just 12 points in that third quarter. Barry Brown Jr. 0 points in the third after he was starting to heat up just before halftime. And, you know, like they gave up 24. That's not too bad for a quarter, when all is said and done. But they are just having a whole bunch of trouble putting points on the board right now.
Let's get to Casey Frank courtside.
And Monty Moore, that quarter-time break, just wanted his team to settle down and start playing the right way. Where was that team earlier in the game? And now things just got worse because Jarrell Brantley looks like he picked up foul number 5.
And a big play right there, Jack, as Jarrell Brantley has committed foul number 5. He is out of here, and isn't this Sydney crowd absolutely letting him have it?
Let's take another look.
Pushed off. It's soft, and there's no doubt that there's a little bit of flopping going on there, but when you extend the arm, you drop that leg into him, push off. You can't review that because they can't say, well, it's just soft. The foul's there, so it's good night for Brantley. And things just get a little bit harder now for the New Zealand Breakers.
And still, Tom Abercrombie with 4 fouls. As well as Rob Lowe. Galloway head down to the basket. The Kings have got all the answers.
He's having a really good impact out there right now, Jalen Galloway. He's a youngster who didn't get on the court in the grand final series last year, the 3-0 sweep against the Jack Jumpers, and worked his way into a sort of a 15-minute-a-game type role this year with the Kings. And right now, in this second half, he's out there having a really good impact at both ends of the floor.
Barry Brown coming out of the game. It's a double-figure lead now for Sydney. Game high 11 points.
Barry Brown not out there, and I thought they became a little bit too Barry Brown Jr. heavy in that third period. And now you're saying, well, where the point's going to come from?
Arthur's pass chopped down. It's just not happening for the visitors right now.
Well, I don't understand why Will McDowell-White doesn't have the ball.
Correct.
Justin Simon's not out there. You don't need to hide him and take that elite defender away from the ball. That's Sean Bruce with that matchup right now.
I think they're trying to go through to their sets and then get it back to him. At that time there, he just blew it. Fairly fundamental play. Weren't able to execute.
Glover has Noy open for 3. Repair on the move for the Breakers. Derek Rucker courtside.
Well, you can see the Sydney Kings growing in confidence defensively. And we've got another charge, and they are absolutely frustrating the New Zealand Breakers, who throughout the course of the season have been the less emotional team, and the Sydney Kings have been the team driven by emotion. And right now, the Kings are maintaining their composure as they take over this game, Liam.
Well, Derek, this is, I mean, that to me is a classic flop. Now, the problem is when you go back to the review, there is a little bit of contact. We've got a coach's challenge, but these are really hard to win these challenges because there is some contact. But there is no doubt that to me is a classic flop and a poor call.
Well, we've got a coach's challenge. Talk us through it, Liam.
Well, I'm with you, Drew. This is the flop. Sean Bruce knew he was going down. He drew the offensive foul on Jarrell Brantley a couple of possessions ago. He comes rotating over.
He's been almost spinning away. There's such minimal contact there that I understand it's a really, really tough call because there is contact, but he stopped his pivot foot. See his right foot there, and he's prepared to spin on it, and he's almost spinning away. I just don't know how you overrule that.
Well, but I have seen situations this season where the replay center has overruled a situation like this so as not to reward the flop.
See, plants that left foot, excuse me, drops with the right. So he's drop steading, turning away. Now that is absolutely rewarding a flop if this is not overruled. There.
If it's not, that'll be 5 fouls on Rob Lowe as well.
It's a really expensive one if this doesn't go the way of the Breakers.
It's a long coach's challenge, this one.
Upon review, the coach's challenge is successful. The call of the four is overturned. There is no illegal contact made by 15 blue, and the defender flops on the play. We'll restart with New Zealand on the baseline, 14 on the shot clock.
Well, that's a good decision. Well done, review centre.
Mody Mayor retains his coach's challenge. Chase Buford still has his also.
Is he issued a flop warning?
Well, in the review, they said it was a flop, so I assume that that's automatic.
Repair off the inbound. The Breakers now 10 of 27 from deep.
Let's go, Sydney, let's go.
Bruce with 5 on the shot clock. It'll have to be Kawatnoi. And an offensive foul.
Well, he's on the attack, Kawatnoi. He got rewarded in game 2 where he had the season high 20 points for barreling into the paint and putting heat on the rim. Shot a whole bunch of free throws there. Will McDowell makes the read.
No doubt about that one. That's just good defense, got the right position. And Chase Buford goes to his review guy again. And his review guy giving the advice that perhaps might want to leave that one alone.
Maybe not this time, boss. Game 4 on Sunday at Spark Arena in New Zealand. More than 9,000 expected. This ball falls back out to the Breakers. Trail by 12. Repair left open. No good.
Needs to hit him. They're sitting off Rayan Repair, inviting him to shoot. Isn't knocking him down, so Matty Mayor's brought Barry Brown Jr. to the score bench to check back in.
They have not scored in this 4th term. The Breakers. Sydney are piling on the pressure now.
They only scored 12 in the 3rd. Scoring's been a problem this entire half for the New Zealand Breakers, and as you watch them, it's hard to figure out how they're going to score.
Derek Pardon about to come back in too. Abercrombie. It's just not happening from deep in this second half for the Breakers.
And really relying on the 3-ball. So many opportunities, and a lot of that's by design with what the Sydney Kings and the way they've played, not just in this game, throughout the entire season.
Cooks on the offensive glass is fouled.
Jarrell Brantley and Xavier Cooks on the bench. Here's Walton Jr. Just sizes Rob Lowe up, goes bang. He's had himself a very good second half. 10 points now, 6 boards, and 8 assists. We were talking about the health of these two guys, Walton Jr. and Cooks, heading into the ball game, and their impact growing over the course of the night.
You can celebrate this off-season. Jump online, nbl.com.au/Lux for your chance to win Xavier Cook's dream off-season holiday, Bali, the Gold Coast, Fraser Island, or the New South Wales North Coast, if you don't win the major prize of heading to Hawaii. You can jump online or scan that QR code now. It's a 12-0 run from the back end of quarter number 3 into quarter 4. New Zealand are stone cold. Free throws for Pardon will help their cause.
Purple 21.
Well, Pardon's one that they can find a way to get him going. He hasn't been his usual self in this playoff series because he's had some real challenges to deal with. Only had the 3 field goal attempts, and even more surprising, only the 3 rebounds in the contest as well.
Angus Glover comes out of the game. Derek Rucker courtside.
And Andrew, I was just about to comment on that and talk about the good job that Tim Suarez and Jordan Hunter have done in neutralizing Derek Pardon's impact on this series. Now, even though they haven't been spectacular other than Jordy Hunter's burst in game 1, they've done enough to keep him off the glass, keep him occupied, and limit his impact on the offensive board with his putbacks. Pardon has been a non-factor in this series, guys.
That's a great call. Modi Mayor ringing some changes. Brings Cam Glidden in here. He knows they're a long way behind. 6 minutes to play. If they're any chance, they're going to need to tick the scoreboard over in a hurry. So some three-point looks from Glidden would help.
Suarez. Foul on Vodanovic, which will be New Zealand's 4th of the quarter. Let's take a look.
On who?
On Tom Vodanovic. A push there on Kawat Noi. Timeout called. You're watching Game 3 of the Championship Series. (75-61). 6 minutes remaining. The Breakers are running out of soldiers.
And they're running out of steam, particularly at the offensive end. They have scored 2 points in this third quarter, the first 4 minutes of this third quarter, and that's after only scoring 12 in the entire third. That's been 14 points in 14 minutes. Been absolutely bone dry at the offensive end, have had some good looks. Late contests from the Kings on three-point attempts from the Breakers. They've come up dry, 10 of 29 from long range. And this second half has just well and truly gotten away from the road team.
It's a 14-point lead to the Sydney Kings, 75-61, 6 minutes remaining. Andrew Gaze, it's going to need to be something pretty special from here for the Breakers.
Oh, it is, and with a couple of your main offensive threats sitting on the bench, it's going to be really hard for them to do it. I think you're right, they had Cam Glidden coming into the game, and he's one player that can get hot on the three-point line, but just the method of which they're creating shots as well has not been great. And on the other side, Tim Suarez with a high degree of authority throws that one down on the underneath out-of-bounds play. What a play and what a finish by Suarez.
Beautifully executed stuff. The Kings bench goes crazy because that's what they drew up in the huddle.
I didn't know he had that in him. He's a big unit, tall, and I should say, but showed a bit more bounce than I thought he had, off the 2 feet as well.
You just wonder now, with any momentum that New Zealand might have been able to build out of that timeout, and that three-point play snuffs out their chances. Pardon no good off the glass.
Chase Buford holds up 2 hands. He now understands the clock's his friend. And using the ball, trying to take a bit more time each possession.
Neuer head down to the basket. A couple of chances. Didn't score off either. Less than 5.5 minutes remaining in game 3.
It has been now a full 10 minutes of game time since the Breakers scored a field goal. Their last field goal was 5:13 to go in the third quarter. The Sydney defense stepping up in a big moment down the stretch.
2 more for Suarez. He started the game well and he's finishing the game well. The lead is now 19. And for the Breakers, it seems as though this ship has sailed.
It is, and particularly with the problems they're having in this second half, in particular on the offensive end. Give the Sydney Kings a lot of credit for the way in which they've come out and made it really tough. And 10 of 29 from the three-point line, which in itself is horrifically bad, but it's in this second half primarily where they've had some wide open looks which you normally expect them to make. And it's coming at the expense of allowing the Sydney Kings to really clog up the paint and get nothing cheap at the rim.
They need points and they need it quick, the Breakers. Vodanovic misses 10 of 30 from deep tonight, collectively. Across the season, he shot that 3 ball at 36%. Glidden left open.
The other thing the Kings have done just terrifically well in this second half is they've tidied things up in terms of their ball control. We spoke at half-time, 12 turnovers in those first 2 quarters. Just 1 in the second half to this point.
That lead extends to 21 now. And they've got 3 minutes and 50 seconds to soak this all in. This record-breaking crowd at Kudos Bank Arena. Repair finally gets one to go for the New Zealand.
Well, we were talking about the challenges of getting the rim. Points in the paint, 40 to the Sydney Kings, 14 to the New Zealand Breakers. So it's been all about their perimeter game, and they haven't been able to do it consistently enough. But then 2 more comes into the paint, this time at the hand of Vasiljevic.
Simon being a menace, as he has been all series. Shot clock down to 4, Vodanovic from deep. That's good. Back-to-back threes for New Zealand. Some confidence for them to take into game 4 on Sunday. Sam Timmins and Dan Fotu getting set to check in. Walton Jr., sublime for Suarez.
He's putting on a show now, and he's just seeing the floor, oozing confidence, and picking off the New Zealand Breakers.
Last couple of minutes in the game, how important is this for New Zealand to finish strong?
Well, they finished really strong in that game at home after 3 quarters, where again they really struggled offensively in the first 3 quarters of game 2, but got things going a little bit in the last. And right now, I think it's just about trying to stay fresh as you can. You see Fotu and Timmins getting ready to check out and off the ball. Yes. Vodanovic and Walton just having an interesting conversation.
Have a look here.
Cooks and Vodanovic. That's because Cooks closed out the last one, and then when Vodanovic hit the shot, of course, teammates last year, and now opponents this season.
There's been a bit going on between those two all game, and I think Xavier Cooks might have just kept a couple of receipts.
I think it was all in the right spirit.
The 3 stars check out. Simon, Cooks, Walton Jr. all played well. Walton Jr. in particular took a little while to get going. But man, what a massive impact he's had. 12 points, 6 boards, 9 assists. And in this second half was a real key when Sydney got themselves going and built this game-winning lead.
Game 4 on Sunday afternoon in New Zealand. Sydney will be one game off being NBL23 champions.
Good.
Danovic on the move, out of control. What have Sydney learnt about themselves tonight?
They can stand up to the pressure. No greater pressure than they saw in game 2, and showed the resilience and the determination, particularly on the defensive end. They've been able to make life incredibly difficult for the New Zealand Breakers and still find ways to keep their offense ticking over. Photo's an interesting one. When they signed Photo, saw a bit of him play when at St Mary's, 4-year guy there, and I thought he'd have a bigger role, but given the talent that the New Zealand Breakers have been able to have, but this is good experience for him. Number 42, there it is. He comes from a good basketball family, and I think that he's got a future. Now, I haven't seen enough of him here in this league, but certainly what he showed at juniors and at St Mary's, that good size, versatile guy, and these couple of minutes when the game's over can help in his development as well.
Bubba puts it back to 20. Sydney are going to take all sorts of momentum into Sunday. And they're going to buck the trend. Tonight will be the first time this year when these two teams have met that the home team have won. It's been an outstanding second half performance from the reigning champions. 18,049, stand as one and celebrate as one. The fans have turned up and showed their support for their team, and their team have paid it back in spades. Sydney go 2-1 up in the series and head to New Zealand on Sunday with the chance to become back-to-back NBL champions.
Well, it's a week later, but it's a different look, a different team, and they've had to weather some challenges along the way, and they've done it well. And the New Zealand Breakers, they'll go away disappointed with their performance, but I don't think they'll be disheartened. They've seen enough at glimpses, and even in the last 2 games for certain periods. If they can just put a 4-quarter performance together, they still have the capacity to send this to a game 5, but impressed, and all respect to the Sydney Kings and what they've been able to do in a comprehensive win here on their home court in front of this record crowd.
It was a magical night in the Harbour City when all is said and done, on and off the floor. A record crowd, history-making stuff in terms of the attendance in the arena. A sold-out Kudos Bank Arena, spectacular in its own right, and then a come away with a Game 3 victory. Take a 2-1 lead in the series. Massive night for the Sydney Kings tonight.
Let's get over to Derek Rucker.
Derek Walton Jr., big-time game from you. 12, 9, and 6. Led this team from in front. Obviously no ill effects from that quadricep injury of last week.
Man, I don't like to make excuses, but, I mean, none of us are 100%, so I really can't make too many excuses. Try to do as much as I possibly can with the energy I do have. Off days, try to get as much rest as I can, and it's always good to come out and win. One more to do it.
New Zealand got off to an excellent start. Great first half again, went in with the lead. What turned it around in the third quarter, and when did you feel like you could really push and have a bigger impact on this game?
It's more so just trying to realize, obviously, a lot of teams guard me a lot of different ways. Just trying to, be poised, be patient, take what the defense give me, and then, let my talent take over when it's time to.
Xavier Cooks made a strong contribution. He, like yourself, struggled all last weekend with an injury. Did you guys bond during the week and kind of push each other through that?
I think when you're at this level and you like to win at this at this level, I don't think it's too much need to be said, man. I think both of us very, very fiery competitors, and all we want to do is win. I think obviously you see him still hobbling. Me, myself, not at 100%, but it's not about that. It's about winning right now.
Okay, one more question. This was the first time a home team has held serve on their court. How can you go steal this game on Sunday and come back to Sydney champions?
Just realize it's 40 more minutes into something that we've been working for the whole year. I think thinking big picture and then not really getting too tied up in the runs is more so the most important thing at this point. They're going to make runs, we're going to make runs, but it's all about withstanding it and playing tough and, and doing the little things that make the win for us.
Great performance, Derek. Good luck in Game 4.
It most certainly was. As he said, he's clearly not at 100%, but marshaled the troops all night long.
He did, and it wasn't just about his scoring. We know he can explode, had a 45-point game. But today, look at the way he sees the floor, the way in which he gets his teammates involved. And when you can put it to the deck, get in the traffic and pass out of it like that, it's a delight to play with players if you're a shooter. And he creates easier scoring options. In contrast, we didn't see that down the other end from the New Zealand Breakers. And when you've got a guy running the show, you've got to close out hard because he can shoot the three ball. And when he's got it on a string and with eyes in the back of the head, it's very tough to guard.
He is our Foot Locker player of the game. There are his numbers. A big part in Sydney going 2-1 up in the series. They win the second half 48-21. And now we head to Spark Arena on Sunday for Game 4 in the series. Stick around. Felix, Derek and Casey are back to wrap it up on the other side of this. Sydney winners tonight, 91-68.
The Sydney Kings are back to their dominant best with a 23-point win in Game 3 of the NBL Championship Series. And I'll tell you what, Derek Rucker and Casey Frank, they couldn't have looked much better in the second half tonight.
Well, that's right, and the Sydney Kings did a much better job in the second half. They had 12 turnovers in the first half. They finished the game with only 13. That's outstanding ball control. They were able to create the shots that they needed and when they needed them. And that was the thing in the second half, Casey. They crushed New Zealand on the boards. Overall, they won the possession game, and New Zealand took 7 less shots after being in command in the first half.
24 assists on 32 buckets. That's great sharing of the basketball. Only 5 offensive rebounds for the Breakers. Wow. They have to find a way to challenge the Kings physically without getting in foul trouble. That has been the story of these last 2 games. They just haven't been able to do it to the end.
Well, game 4 coming up. Quick one from you guys that I want to see. 12th of March, look at that, 4 p.m. at Spark Arena. I want to know a quick one from you and Casey. What do they need to do?
Well, Chase Buford keeps making outstanding adjustments, especially in the second half. I'm going with New Zealand, however. We're coming back for 5.
They got to win the physical battle. They have to bully the bullies. They've been bullied the last 2 games.
Well, I love it. We're off to Spark Arena on Sunday, and if we've got anything to say about it, I reckon that we might be back here on a Wednesday night to decide this one. Another blockbuster. Thanks for tuning in.
This program is brought to you by Hungry Jack's and Bunnings Warehouse.